top will serve it up. Perhaps the key in this match. How will Chris Young, the man in the purple top and the maroon cap, respond? This is his first final ever. Once again, he's never won a tournament. He's playing with Leif Hanson, white hat upturn, who has won a tournament and 3 internationally. So he is by far the most experienced player of these 4. Here's Bill Boulliane, and Boulliane hits it straight down.
And the first of what will be a succession of perfect set after perfect set. Bill Boulliane likes this ball set very, very high. Brian Lewis is the best in the game right now.
Bill Boulliane, second last year at Manhattan, had the jitters, and Stoklos stuffed him off the court. Got second at Puerto Rico also last year. And he says, this is just another matchup for me. Got a chance at the first point. Boulliane. No! Chris Young.
The first confrontation between the 2 players who have yet to win a title. Boulliane swinging hard on the left side, but Chris Young, who's been blocking extremely well throughout this tournament in front of the defense of Leif Hanson, gets into the cross court and stuffs him.
Chris Young with the serve, and he serves it out of bounds. Chris Young is 28 years old. He's a substitute teacher in his spare time. He graduated from Loyola Marymount University. His previous best finish, a 5th. So he's having a career weekend in Belmar. Here's Brian Lewis. No score, early action. And they're working on Young. And Young is rejected by Boulliane. 1-0.
Bill Boulliane says, hey, look, Chris, you're not going to get me without a little revenge coming right back at you. Chris Young swinging high and hard. But those 2 players, Boulliane and Chris Young, very similar in stature and abilities to block the ball.
Strategy maybe for Hanson and Young. Survive the serve of Brian Lewis, the best server in the AVP. Young got it down. It bounced by Boulliane and away from Lewis, side out.
Brian Lewis serves the ball so well. When you play against his team, you're almost relieved when you see Bill Boulliane going back there, and he's got a pretty tough serve in his own right.
Leif Hanson with the serve, trailing 1-0. Here comes Lewis. Lewis with a little tip over the top. Brian Lewis with a couple of career wins. His last one in Chicago a couple of years ago with Randy Stoklos. He's won 2. And now he signals to his partner, Bill Boulliane, nicknamed the Beef, for Beef Boulliane.
Right there.
Nobody up. Chris Young drives it. And Boulliane forgot to block. Would you say that Boulliane and Young have to be a little bit nervous in this one?
A little bit? Well, I think they're both a lot nervous, but I think more pressure's on Bill Boulliane because Loyola and Johnson are gone. They're the top-seeded team remaining in the tournament, a weekend full of upsets, and everybody's focusing on them and saying, hey, you guys should win this easily. And whenever you're put in that situation where you're supposed to not only win, but make it look easy, I think it puts a lot of pressure on you. I think Chris Young and Leif Hanson, a little more ability just to come out, let it all hang out. Tell you, Bill Boulliane banging from the right side. And like I said, he can hit, block, jump serve, talk a little trash. He's got a nice do. Well, maybe we'll take a look at his peroxided blonde hair. He's done everything but win.
Young passing well so far. And Boulliane with his second block. Now, when you talk about Bill Boulliane, you talk about his lack of blocking, but he's got 2 stuffs for points already.
Well, even Brian Lewis, and he would agree when we talked to them. He said, look, we're not a great blocking team, so anything they get in terms of stuffing the ball straight to the sand is a real bonus. He likes to funnel the ball to Brian Lewis, one of the best diggers on the beach.
Service error by Lewis, number 1 on the power ace serving list. He came in with 184 aces, by far the number 1 server, followed by James Fellows and Adam Johnson. Here's Leif Hanson. It's 2-0. Lewis and Boulliane. Lewis with the little dink.
And surprised that Leif Hanson is going against form a little bit right now and serving Brian Lewis. Common strategy against Lewis and Boulliane is to serve Bill Boulliane. Not as good a passer. Brian Lewis may be only 6'1", but he can rocket the ball and has a very solid array of shots.
Boulliane, who played at San Diego State University, also a great jump server.
Right there. Oh, angle.
Chris Young cross court, and he hits it out of bounds. So the third point for Lewis and Boulliane.
As deadly as yesterday was with the heat and the format, everybody having to play multiple games because we're a little bit early here on Sunday afternoon in the East Coast. Chris Young and Leif Hanson have played a couple extra games this morning and maybe a little tired after the tough day yesterday.
Trouble, and the ball bounced out of bounds. It's 4-0. Hanson and Young need a timeout. 4-0, and Boulliane is heating up. Most improved player on tour in 1994. Chris Young trying to get
Right there. Angle.
and collect his thoughts and beat Boulliane.
He has never blocked better, particularly in an important match. 3 stuffed blocks at the 5-0.
Ball Sunderland, it's 5-0.
Chris Marlovic said that as we move towards the Atlanta Olympic Games. A lot of those teams, of course, going to be there competing on the beach.
Ace for Boulliane.
And the way they look, Bill Boulliane and Brian Lewis might say, hey, next June at the Olympic trials, we're going to be a factor. Up to a 6-0 lead. Young and Leif Hanson have had a phenomenal tournament. But come on, guys, this is the finals. Dig in, pass the ball. And Bill Boulliane's the one who's scoring all the points right now. They got through Brian Lewis. Another bad pass.
Little shot. Young got it. Chris Young, no! And off Young, out of bounds. Lewis gets the kill.
I'll tell you, Bill Boulliane almost went to sleep on the play, mesmerized by this early dominating lead. Didn't pass the free opportunity well. And Brian Lewis goes up and finishes it. Bill Boulliane, a late start on that play. Now watch Brian Lewis. Boom. Off Chris Young as the blocker with his left hand. Smart shot for the score.
We'll take a timeout. 6:39 to go. 7th first tournament ever. He has 3 aces and 3 stuff blocks as he is working Chris Young over down the line. It's 7-0 and now 8-0.
Well, making it look so easy right now. They're working on Chris Young.
What can Leif Hanson do to help him, his partner?
Got to continue to talk to him. First of all, take more court.
Move over?
Yeah, so if they're going to serve Chris Young, they got to serve the ball right to him. Leif Hanson's got to take more middle. There you go, right to Chris Young, and talk about having to have a side out.
Louis got the dig up. Looking to go to 9. Not yet. Young is on it. And Young puts it away. Perhaps Chris Young trying to get the butterflies out. Playing in his first final ever. Very talented player. Trying to loosen up a little, Paul.
For a long time, people have said, hey, look, Chris Young can pass, set, hit. He's got all the skills, but he's never, ever done it, not gotten up into the elite. 5th is the best he's ever finished.
8-0 is our score as Brian Lewis buries it. Brian's father, Brian Sr., a very talented player back in the 70s, won a professional tournament in 1970 in Santa Cruz. Brian told me his father was a very severe critiquer of Brian's volleyball game growing up, and it's made Brian really try to improve on his volleyball skills. Family watching in Corona del Mar, California. Hanson with the cut shot. So Leif Hanson, the veteran,
trying to restore just a little order, smooth things out. 8-0 obviously is a tremendous deficit, but anything can happen out here. You just block a few balls, get a couple of unforced errors, but as yet no pressure whatsoever on Lewis and Boulliane.
And they're serving Lewis. And Lewis cuts it inside. Brian Lewis, 27 years old, $48,000 he's won this year. Got interested in volleyball by watching the 1984 Olympic team, particularly Pat Powers, the spiking star for the Americans. Said, I want to play volleyball. And even though he's 6'1", he's developed into one of the great players on tour. 8-0 is our score. And Hanson got the touch off of Lewis. Leif Hanson won a tournament back in 1987 in nearby Wildwood, New Jersey. Loves playing in the hot weather. Then shoulder problems kind of sidetracked his career, but he's a good player and a tremendous defensive player.
Well, and with the injury, though, you become sort of a commodity of bouncing from partner to partner and never consistently getting with that guy that you can win with. Once again, he was with Tim Hovland earlier this season, but he and Chris Young have had back-to-back very good weeks.
Bill Boulliane has looked very, very good in this final. Boulliane trying to get over the moniker of the best player on tour, never to having won a tournament. 8-0 is our score. Chris Young. And Young taps it down the line. So Chris Young smoothing out a bit. There's plenty of time for a comeback.
But they got to create something. Leif Hanson, who's probably been the best defensive player in the tournament, has got to make something happen as a defender. Dig a few balls, and Chris Young no longer challenging Bill Boulliane low cross court.
Into the net. Troy Tanner and Wes Welch finishing 3rd. Andrew Smith and former Long Beach State star Mark Cairns in 4th. Craig Muthart and Doug Faust in 5th, along with Ludes and Fenoy Moana. David Swadek and Kevin Martin. Canyon Seaman Jeff Rogers in 7th. Serve out of bounds. So the initial onslaught of Beef Louie produced 8 points, but now Chris Young and Leif Hanson smoothing out just a bit. They really need the 8-2 change.
Beef Louie going to have to wait a little for the second course.
Lewis, and he whacks it out of bounds. So how about that? Hanson and Young on the board.
And they got to stay loose. You know, they're the underdog, the number 8 seed. Brian Lewis, Bill Boulliane seeded second. I think the pressure can be put on them, but Young and Leif Hanson got to stay loose and enjoy this being in the finals. Leif Hanson, as he has been all tournament long, touching another ball in the hard cross-court pocket.
Boulliane got the blast.
And Chris Young is going to, if he can't block the ball, going to try to funnel the hitter, in this case Bill Boulliane, right to Leif Hanson, but that one with too much smoke for Hanson to come up with it.
Lewis serving at 8-1. Hanson, nobody up, and he puts it away. Good shot by Leif Hanson.
Not a bad idea, I don't think, to down block against Leif Hanson. What he does best is shoot the ball around the court. He passes extremely well. Not a lot of heat, maybe because of the shoulder injury and things like that. Make him a hitter. No block in front of him that time.
8-1. They're serving the husband and wife area of Beef Louie. And Lewis hits it out. No touch. Let's see, are they going to call it?
Called a
Yes,
touch
they
on
are.
Chris Young, and he only puts up a modicum of protest.
Of course, Brian Lewis, a very good jumper, got the high hand that time.
Last week on a play very similar to this, Brian Lewis hitting the ball up and high, just gets the micro touch against Chris.
Ace for Boulliane. No micro touch there. As the ace cards come out, Beef Louie in control, 9-1. We'll come back more of the AVP on NBC after the back at the Nestea Open here in Belmar. Chris Marlowe, Paul Sunderland, capacity crowd watching Bill Boulliane in search of his first win ever, and he is playing. Well, Karch Kiraly isn't here, but Bill Boulliane is playing like Karch Kiraly right now, racking up the numbers. His team leads 9-1, now 10-1. An 8-0 lead before Hanson and Young got a point. What's been the difference?
Bill Boulliane. He's doing everything right now. He set the tone, blocking balls early. He scored virtually every point on the board, certainly with help from Brian Lewis, but Chris Young and Leif Hanson, as well as they've been playing and with their good ball control, are just sunk because, you know, Brian Lewis is tough to side out against when he's serving, but Bill Boulliane is bombing jump serves right here. Remember, they were in the finals last week, lost to Kiraly and Akatubby when everybody from the AVP was here, so this is certainly no fluke that gets back to the finals.
Nice take by Boulliane, over to Young. Lewis at the net. Young drives it home. Chris Young and Leif Hanson have only been together for 3 weeks. They got a third, check that, a 9th and a 5th, and they are guaranteed second here as we watch Boulliane.
Who you never see playing defense, but they got such a big lead. Brian Lewis at only 6'1", up there blocking. No reason not to take some chances with this sizable lead.
Timeout called. We're coming back. A 9-point lead for Beef Louie. Was quoted saying after yesterday's play when it was 104, it was the hottest day ever on the AVP Tour, and the smoggy air made me feel like I smoked a pack of cigarettes after a couple of our matches. It was just dreadfully hot and dreary here in Belmar. But today it's turned out to be a very, very nice day. 10-1 is our score. A rout is going on, and Chris Young and Leif Hanson, after playing beautifully the entire tournament, have just gotten off to a poor start and followed it up with poor play.
Yeah, Boulliane and Lewis too much right now, but Chris Young and Leif Hanson got to stay patient. Don't try to get too much too fast. Just work on every contact, one contact at a time. Just pass, set, hit, try to creep back into this thing. Got plenty of time left.
Hanson bounces it down the line. And Leif Hanson will serve.
Leif Hanson passes the ball superbly. Like I said, maybe the best defensive player on the AVP Tour that you've never had a chance to really see and appreciate. Haven't had a chance to see him dig too many balls so far now because Beef Louie are just passing, setting the ball impeccably.
10-1 is our score. As we mentioned earlier, Bill Boulliane and Chris Young looking for their first wins. I went into the players' tent and asked Bill Boulliane, it's you or Chris Young, one of you is going to win your first tournament. He said, me, and he's putting up the big numbers to support it. Chris Young, nobody up. I'll tell you, that's disrespect, and they dig him.
Absolutely. He's got to get after this ball.
Lewis, Beach, not yet. Young, third attempt.
Tight set. The net is on Chris Young. Bill Boulliane dominating at the net, and he and Brian Lewis. And Brian Lewis points over at his partner. Long rally, defensive play, good hustle. And then right at the end, this set is way too tight to the net. Chris Young can't do anything with it, but gets stuffed, and Bill Boulliane enjoying it. Now only 4 points away from his first title.
Bill Boulliane with 4 blocks. The rap against Boulliane is that he's not a tremendous blocker. Good passer, good hitter, good digger. And we're coming back after these words from your local stations. You're watching the AVP on NBC.
I'm Jose Loyola. You're watching AVP on NBC. AVP on NBC.
I tell you, he says that better than the Americans on tour.
Says it better than you.
The $1 million Miller Lite Cup, $125,000 to the winner. Karai, Dodd, Whitmarsh, Akatebe not here this week. They'll drop a bit. Johnson's going to pick up some points along with Loyola and Brian Lewis. Brian Lewis can make a jump.
Well, and again, Adam Johnson and Jose Loyola had a big opportunity this week. Seeded ¡1. If they would have got into the finals, they would have picked up a lot of points on Kirai, Akatebe, Dodd, Whitmarsh, etc.
Look, shank pass out of bounds. If you just joined us, it has been all Bill Boulliane and Brian Lewis. Boulliane grew up in Palos Verdes, California, looking for his first tournament win, now only 3 points away. He was so close last year at Manhattan, got in the final, did not play well. They got smoked by Stoklos and Johnson, but Beef is playing beautifully. And Young hits another ball out, and it's 13-1 as Young and Hanson have just not been able to handle it.
Just a drag race to the finals. Unforced errors, can't have them. Leif Hanson and Chris Young. Tough conditions this weekend, but it's hard to make excuses for the way they played in this final. They just didn't show up.
So Bill Boulliane just 2 points away from victory. We'll be back.
So you think all iced teas are the same? Let's take a blind taste test and listen. Try this first iced tea. Now try this one. Sounds like a winner. In a blind taste test, Nestea beat Snapple by a sound margin.
Financial concerns, medical problems, anxiety about the future. 50 million Americans turn for help to one particular company, a company whose sole purpose has always been to bring them to a different state of mind. Peace of mind, security, protection, optimism. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
Maybe it was the Baby Ruth, the caramel, the nougat, the peanut-packed power.
What a blast!
Baby Ruth from Nestle. This baby gets you going.
If you need new tires, get to America's #1 tire store, Sears. Because right now, all Goodyears are on sale for whatever you drive. Save on all.
At altitude, tough, fast greens, and everything coming off the mountain.
First championship ever. He has been the man.
Right there.
Chris Young. And Young pops it off the top. It's been a story of Young and Hanson being overmatched here against the #2 seeded team of Bill Boulliane and Brian Lewis.
They played the extra matches. Certainly Bill Boulliane and his partner Brian Lewis had a long rest today, but it's been quiet. Weather conditions hadn't been that hot as the sun peeks through. It's just been all Lewis and Boulliane.
And Lewis has figured out not to hit at the great defensive player Leif Hanson and just tease it over.
Well, Boulliane and Lewis are a good side-out team. They both pass the ball extremely well and can set. Their problem sometimes is making some unforced errors, and Bill Boulliane blocking balls. Not the case today.
Second championship point for Beef Louie.
Right there.
Chris Young puts it away. Well, the fans are desperate for any kind of point or comeback.
Well, last year I remember Randy Stokos and Adam Johnson won here in a sprint after another very difficult Saturday and very hot East Coast weather. So we come out here for a packed house and it ends like a drag race.
Hanson with the serve. Here's Boulliane. And Young roots it.
That's what got Chris Young and Leif Hanson into the finals. It was blocking like that and defense from Leif Hanson throughout the course of this tournament.
And Brian Lewis, interestingly, is going to take a quick 20-second timeout. So the score remains, or it should be now, 14-2 with 4 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the game. We want to show you an AVP flashback that will take us to last year's Nestea Open at Belmar. Adam Johnson set an AVP championship match record. He had 7 aces as he mowed down the competition. Johnson and Stoklos winning the championship against the Mikes, Dodd and Whitmarsh. Leif Hanson and Chris Young trailing 14-2. Hanson. Working on Boulliane. Boulliane cranks one and puts it away. So the third championship point coming up for Bill Beach Boulliane. Trying to get on the board in 1995 as a winner. Came close last year, a couple of seconds. Manhattan and Puerto Rico, this could be it. Not that time.
Side out.
Key for both these teams advancing is evidenced by the problems that Jose Loyola and Adam Johnson had with surviving yesterday, where they played all the way through the semifinals. And what everybody kind of agreed was a horrific day, 120 degrees on the courts.
14-2. Lewis and Boulliane lead, and Boulliane puts it away. A reminder that we will be updating you from Hermosa Beach directly after this match, assuming things remain the same, and a winner is crowned. Lewis will serve it up. Championship point. Hanson, this could be it. Bill Boulliane. No, double contact on the set.
Brian Lewis doesn't get too many throws called on him throughout the course of an entire summer, and he's given Marvin Hall the stink eye. But he knows it was a good call. He tried to gaff that one up there with this huge lead, not too worried about getting a throw called up 14-2.
That's it. And Lewis going deep down the middle.
See the fifth attempt. Game point for Boulliane and
now
Lewis.
the fifth chance. It would be appropriate if Bill Boulliane would serve it. He's waited a long time. He's been on the Pro Tour for 6 years, looking for that elusive first win. And sometimes you get that first win, and it opens up a whole new area of life for you.
Changes how you perceive yourself, how you look in the mirror in the morning, but also how the opposition sees you. This is somebody who's won out there.
Brian Lewis said it would mean everything in the world to Boulliane to win. Not that time.
Serve long. Side out.
Well, Boulliane and Lewis taking their time. They lead it 14-2. They jumped out 8-0 and have never really looked back, as Chris Young really struggling to side out, having passing problems.
Well, their inability to side out's been the whole key to the match, but give Boulliane and Lewis some credit. Boulliane blocked the balls, 3 balls before the first side change at 5-0, and then he served extremely well. Brian Lewis and he both siding out, passing, setting the ball well.
Championship point number 6 for Brian Lewis.
He's going for it.
There it is. Turned into filet mignon here in Belmar Beach. Brian Lewis and Bill Beach Boulliane are the champions. Undefeated in this too.
Yeah, congratulations to them both, and particularly Bill Boulliane. Always sweet to get your first, and he's feeling it right now.
One more look at championship point. The best server on the AVP Tour. The #1 man, Brian Lewis, acing it up. And a convincing win, 15-2. And for Bill Boulliane, his first victory, yes. All right, we are coming back, we will talk to Boulliane and Lewis when we return. This is the AVP on NBC. Have a new era for Bill Beef Boulliane. He gets his first win ever on the AVP Tour as Lewis and Boulliane dominate Hanson and Young. Let's go down to the beach in Sunderland.
All right, Chris, of course, the weather here early was the weather. The story here early was the weather, but the real story is Bill Boulliane. You know where the camera is after all these years. I'll tell you, how's it feel to get your first?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. I feel just unreal, and I'd like to dedicate this to the memory of Dr. Lenihan and say hi to the Lenihan family, and my thoughts are with you.
All right, nice going. Brian, there were so many upsets this week. Loyola and Johnson lose, Ingenio and Hovland lose. You get a little nervous coming into the finals with all the topsy-turvy business that was going on this weekend?
Not really. I mean, we kept our heads low. We stayed out of the fire, and Bill and I advanced. We had to play a few teams that we normally don't play, but then again, Dodd and Whitmarsh weren't here, and I hope you guys won at Hermosa, and Scott Friedrichsen and Eric Wirtz. Good job, you guys.
Sweet.
And this guy, he's probably got some sore marks on his back. I did absolutely nothing out there.
Well, particularly in the finals. We liked it when you were bowing down to him. Let's talk about yesterday, though. About 120 on center court. Today, a little more forgiving. Getting through yesterday undefeated into the finals of the winners. Was that the key for you guys?
It was very important. I mean, it was the most unbelievably hot day of volleyball in my life. In my life, it was just
We thought it was the end of the earth.
It was. We thought lava was going to come up and everything. Yeah, it was the key for sure.
All right, what does this do to your career, though, the way you see yourself and maybe the way other players will see you? I always talk about the importance of getting your first win.
Well, I don't know what anybody else is going to say. I just know how sweet it tastes right now, but hopefully it's like chewing gum. You know, after a while you need another piece.
All right. Louis, one last thing. Everybody talking about Kirai, Akatubby, Steffes, maybe some others about the Olympics. The way you guys play today, maybe you guys get in the mix.
Well, we're going to give it our shot. We did our minimum thing at Hermosa, and we're going to try to go overseas and get our 5 points and then go ahead and try to get in the Olympic qualification procedures and kick some butt.
All right, and the way you guys played this weekend, look out world, and maybe we'll see Brian Lewis and Bill Boulliane in Atlanta, but they're certainly the winners here in Belmar. Go ahead, Chris.
5 blocks, 3 aces for Bill Boulliane as Boulliane and Lewis dominate the championship final here in Belmar. All right, we are going to New York now. The Prudential update. Marianne Grabavoy will take it away. This will include the Bill Walton update and report from Hermosa, so stay with us. Let's go there now.
Top beach volleyball players are there because of Olympic qualifying. With more, we go to Bill Walton.
Even though it was a gloomy, foggy day yesterday at Hermosa Beach, everything fell into place early for the AVP stars as Karch Karai and Scott Akatubby cruised to a punishing 12-2 lead against an overmatched Brazilian team. Then disaster struck as Akatubby's continuing back problems resurfaced. After trying everything from physical therapy to stretching to extended use of injury timeouts, Scott was unable to continue. They were forced to forfeit, leading 12-3. And subsequently were forfeited out of the tournament. Your feelings at this moment?
I wanted to show that we're a great team, and I think we were already in the process of showing that, beating a couple of the world's top-ranked teams here, and ahead 12-2 in another contest. But we didn't get to show it all the way to the end, and hopefully Mike and Mike will carry the banner.
Even though Karch and Scott did not achieve their ultimate goal of winning this tournament with an awesome display of AVP force, at a minimum, they did qualify for next year's Olympic trials. After toying with the top Brazilian team early, Mike Dodd and Mike Whitmarsh were left alone carrying the AVP banner, with the added incentive of nemesis St. John Smith being the opponent. The intensity was clearly evident in the anxious opening moments. But after finding their rhythm, they displayed the talent and skills that has made Dodd and Whitmarsh the AVP's #1 team.
We definitely did not want to lose that game, let's put it that way. St. John can still play volleyball, and he had a big partner in Carl Henkel, and we had to go out there and play seriously or we were going to lose, and it was tougher than it looked. The score reflected that we wiped them out, but it was tougher than it looked.
Today, Dodd and Whitmarsh tried to become the first U.S. male team to win a FIVB World Championship Series tournament in almost 3 years. After observing the competition, it would take a major upset to prevent them from winning that title. From Hermosa Beach, California, I'm Bill Walton.
Thank you, Bill. Just to finish up the story on Scott Akatubby, who suffered severe lower back spasms. He lives just a few blocks away from where the competition took place in Hermosa Beach, and he was able to walk home yesterday. We'll send it back to Belmar and the beach right after these messages.
Back at the Nestle Open in Belmar. New Jersey, where Bill Boulliane and Brian Lewis have dominated the action. They win it going away 15-2, and as you surmised, Paul Sunderland, serving was the big item.
Hey, Brian Lewis serves up championship point. He's celebrating, but they had 4 aces overall. Bill Boulliane had 3 of them. They were just tremendous as a team. They dominated Chris Young and Leif Hanson in the finals. And Bill Boulliane, he was wandering over, and then he looked for that one handheld camera of ours, and he said, that's the one. I've been around a long time. I know what's going on with it.
Okay, we want to update you. We have some recent scores from Hermosa Beach. Great news for American volleyball fans, and especially if you're an AVP American volleyball fan. Dodd and Whitmarsh have defeated the #2 team in the world 15-13. They are in the championship final, and they are going to play another American team. The surprise team of Hermosa, Scott Friedrichsen and Eric Wirtz, have knocked off the French champions, Chedard and Penigo, 15-10. Amazing.
Well, an AVP USA final. Dodd and Whitmarsh probably went in as a favorite. They really had to scrap to beat the Brazilians. I mean, that was a very tough match, but Scott Friedrichsen and Eric Wirtz, they go through the pre-qualifier and the qualifier because they don't have any FIVB points. They get into the main draw and lose in the first round. Then they come all the way back through. They beat Jeff Williams and Carlos Brusino, currently the USA's #1 FIVB team. They beat St. John Smith and Carl Hinkle. Then they defeat the defending world champions on the international tour to get back into the finals, and then in the crossover beat the French. A great day for them, and Dodd and Whitmarsh coming through, especially in the absence of Kirai and Akatubby. They were under a lot of pressure to carry the flag into the championship.
So in about an hour from now, Mike Dodd and Mike Whitmarsh will play Scott Friedrichsen and Eric Wirtz for the international championship in Hermosa Beach. What do you like of that one? Well, I favor Dodd and Whitmarsh, but Wirtz and Friedrichsen.
They are on a magical carpet ride right now, and you can bet that they're going to be about 10,000 people at Hermosa on their bandwagon, but Dodd and Whitmarsh are certainly the favorites.
All right, we have a little extra time to fill. A little earlier today, Leif Hanson and Chris Young were locked in a death struggle against Troy Tanner and Wes Welch. We're going to pick it up with Hanson and Young leading by a point, 14-13. Chris Young and Leif Hanson have led all the way. They're hanging on by a point, 14-13. Semifinal action, the Nestea Open at Belmar. Wes Welch and Troy Tanner trying to catch up, but errors have kept them away. Now, second game point for Hanson and Young.
Welch misses his 8th serve in this match.
Young will float it. Easiest serve he's ever served. Right to Tanner. And Hanson digs him. He'll get a swing for the game. Hanson! Oh! A dinky.
You knew he wasn't going to hit it from that far off the net.
And I don't know. Take a whack deep middle.
Hey, I'm saying Leif Hanson is not going to take a whack at that ball. His style, he's looking to shoot it around. That's his game. He has got great shots. He was waiting for a move by the defense and never got it.
14-13 score remains. Chris Young puts it away. Chris Young has been very, very steady in this one. The teacher from Southern California doing a little instructing on the art of spiking. So, match point number 3, Hanson. Blocked out of bounds. Give the kill to Welch. So Welch and Tanner once again will try to tie it up.
One piece of advice, Wes, don't miss your 9th serve. You know, full-on pressure cooker here for both these teams. Cannot afford to miss one.
Welch down by 1. And he did.
Serve out of bounds.
10, make that 9 official service errors by Wes Welch. Talking to himself, who's coaching my serving?
This is a lot like Adam Johnson and Jose Loyola a couple of weeks ago against Kirai and Akatubby. Tight set.
And nice shot by Troy Tanner.
In that final in Chicago, Loyola and Johnson were right there, except they missed, you know, about 18 serves. We thought it was a new AVP record, so there's a time to put the pedal down, and then there's a time to sure serve tough, but just keep the ball in.
Tanner and Welch had a chance at 13-12 to tie, could not. Now they trail by 1, 14-15. And through Welch as the clock ticks to 2:06. Leif Hanson and Chris Young leading 14-13. They'll go back and try to wrap it up one more time. For the 5th time for the match. Down the line, Tanner. And that will do it. Blake Hanson and Chris Young are into the final for the first time ever together in their careers. 15-13, Hanson Young win it.